Before we wrap items, many of them can be disassembled for shipment. Things like removing the legs from a table help protect items by making them easier to handle and move through doorways. And it also helps the van operator or crew leader load a shipment more efficiently, since it'll take up less space in the van or container. Deciding which items can or can't be disassembled is a big part of our job. We can damage pieces when they're taken apart and shouldn't be, or if they're not taken apart when they should be.
We call it sizing up a load. You have to look at a room of furniture and inspect it to figure out how items should best be handled. A lot of what we move have legs or other parts that should be removed before we wrap them. Usually most tables, beds, and desks can be disassembled. These are pieces that are bolted or screwed together, but even more important is recognizing which items shouldn't be disassembled, either because they could be damaged by taking them apart or because they can't be put back together properly. This commonly includes items that are painted over, nailed together, have metal parts that are fused, or items that are glued. Obviously, we can't remove any permanently attached items because it would leave holes in a wall. This could include shelves that are screwed or nailed into walls, wall plates, and curtain rods. The customer must remove attached items if they're to be shipped.
Some pieces may be screwed together, but they also might be glued and shouldn't be taken apart. If you're not sure about the item, the best thing to do is ask the van operator or crew leader. Just as important, it's our job to reassemble an item we've taken apart. So if you're helping unload a shipment at destination, anything that was disassembled should be reassembled unless the customer specifically asks for it to remain apart. It's important to carry the right tools for the job too, since you don't want to waste time scrambling for a way to remove a part or put something back together. Always have a standard and Phillips screwdriver, adjustable and Allen wrenches, pliers and a hammer, and use a soft tool bag to avoid scratching customers' floors. The most important carton in any shipment is the parts box or utility cart. It's our company's operational standard that every shipment includes a parts box. This should be the last carton loaded and the first item unloaded at destination. In addition, parts bags are essential in disassembly. Parts bags are small bags with drawstrings designed to keep parts and hardware from being misplaced. The parts bags are then labeled with the item the hardware belongs to and placed in the utility or parts box. If parts bags aren't used, be sure to wrap the hardware for a particular piece together in newsprint, tape it up, and label it with the item the hardware belongs to. This then goes into the parts box. Using labeled parts bags or labeling the wrapped hardware, that's an important handoff for the movers unloading the shipment, since they'll be seeing the furniture for the first time, and they need to be able to find the hardware necessary to reassemble the items. Be sure to indicate parts in utility carton or hardware in parts box on the inventory. This is another important handoff for the delivery crew. If casters are easily removable, such as from a crib, remove them, wrap them up, and place them in the utility cart. For items with permanent casters, such as a desk chair, we pad around the casters. When banding the chair, be sure to put the band around the casters to keep the pad secure. For other items with permanent casters, like a metal bed frame, the casters are taped with masking tape before wrapping to prevent damage. One utility carton is used per shipment and given to the van operator during loading. This carton should be clearly marked as parts box or utility cart and labeled with the customer's name and order number. Also, mark it on the inventory.
Before disassembling a table, remove any leaves and wrap them separately in pads. Next, the tabletop is covered with a pad or a special table pad, if available, may be used. This special pad is contoured to rounded table shapes and has ties to tighten it onto the table. Carefully turn the table upside down and place it on the floor. And remember, never lay finished surfaces directly on an unprotected area. Next, we remove the table legs with a screwdriver or wrench, since they'll be attached with screws or nuts and bolts. It's important to take your time and not strip or damage the screws or bolts, since it could make them unusable. While all table legs may look alike, they may not necessarily be interchangeable. That's why we always number the legs for easier reassembly. It's another important handoff. We mark the number of the leg with a pencil or marker on the unfinished surface of the leg, as well as on the table where the leg attaches. This will be very important if there are confusing or look-alike pieces. Keep the screws or bolts you removed together and wrap them with newsprint or put them in a parts bag. Label it and place it in the utility box. Place the wrap tabletop on its side to help keep it out of the way. The table legs can then be wrapped together. First, we place a pad on the floor, then place one leg on the pad and roll it over into the pad. Then place another leg down and roll the bundle again, folding in the pad as you go. Continue until all 4 legs are wrapped, and then band the bundle.
Tables will vary greatly in size and shape, but the basic steps for disassembly and wrapping remain the same. If a table does not disassemble, it'll be wrapped so that the legs are covered. Lay the table on a pad. Fold the ends of the pad in around the legs and tape or band the pad in place. Band all around all of the legs to secure the pad. Be sure to cover the top and sides of the table completely. Turn the table over and band the pad around the tabletop. When it comes to large bookcases or entertainment centers, it's going to be a judgment call by the van operator whether the item will best be protected by taking it apart. Bookcases and entertainment centers, they're hard to safely transport, especially if they're made from particle or press board that's heavy and brittle. They can be pad wrapped as a unit, or in some cases, totally disassembled and wrapped as separate pieces. As always, if we do take it apart, we place any screws or parts in a parts bag or wrap them and label the package or bag before placing it in the parts box. And shelves or other pieces can be pad wrapped in pairs by folding a pad in between them.